liftoff of Falcon 9.
Every launch is an exciting launch, but today's launch represents some particularly notable milestones for SpaceX. First, today's launch will be the first time we're reflying a Falcon 9 booster for the fourth time. This booster previously flew on Iridium 7, Salcom 1A, and PSN 6. Following today's flight, we'll be attempting to recover it for a fourth time on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, out in the Atlantic Ocean. Second, this is the first time we'll be flying a recovered fairing. This fairing previously flew on the Falcon Heavy Arabsat mission earlier this year. And last but not least, of course, we'll be launching another 60 Starlink satellites to orbit. These 60 new satellites will make Starlink one of, if not the largest satellite constellation to date. For those of you who don't already know, Starlink is SpaceX's effort to bring high-speed, low-latency broadband internet to people across the globe, particularly to areas where connectivity has been unreliable, too expensive, or completely unavailable. Most satellite internet services today come from geostationary satellites, and those are single satellites that orbit the planet at about 35,000 kilometers, covering a fixed region above the Earth. Starlink is a constellation of multiple satellites that orbit the planet at about 550 kilometers and cover the entire globe. And because they're in such a low orbit, the round-trip data time between the user and the satellite, also known as latency, is much faster than with satellites that are in geostationary orbit. Additionally, each satellite performs autonomous collision avoidance maneuvers throughout its lifetime so that they don't run into each other to create space debris. This is the first constellation to have this advanced capability. In addition, each satellite is fully demisable, meaning at the end of life, the satellite's components are expected to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, liftoff. With gratitude to our veterans today and always, go USA!
Falcon 9 is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 cross is nominal.
Power and telemetry is nominal.
We are T plus 55 seconds into launch, and we've had a on-time liftoff and a beautiful view of the Falcon 9 vehicle making its way to orbit. We are coming up in about 10 seconds here on max Q. That is the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will see during ascent. We should be able to hear that call out.
Vehicle's experiencing maximum aerodynamic pressure.
And there's that call out for max Q. Coming up next is a rapid succession of events, starting off with main engine cutoff, or what we call MECO, followed immediately by stage separation. That's the separation of the first stage from the second stage. And then seconds after will be the lighting of our second stage engine, which we call second engine startup, or SES-1. That is coming up here in about 45 seconds.
And back engine chill.
And we've got a great view this morning with some pretty clear blue skies, the Earth in the background. Now, if you're just now joining us, we are 30 seconds away from main engine cutoff, stage separation, and SES-1. What you see on your screen, you should be able to see the stages separate. About 10 seconds here.
MECO
Stage separation confirmed.
There, as you saw on your left screen, we had MECO and stage separation. On your right screen, we should see that second engine startup. And there's that second stage engine glowing bright red.
Stage 1 entry burn.
And as you see, that entry burn has begun. Should go for another 5 seconds or so.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And as you just heard, we had a successful shutdown of that entry burn. So for about another minute and a half, stage 1 is going to coast, making its way down to the drone ship. And at
First
T+,
and second stage continue to follow a nominal trajectory.
and in just under a minute, that landing burn should start.
Stage 1 transonic.
Everything continues to be nominal on stage 2. And in just under 10 seconds, that landing burn should start. Hopefully we'll get some nice on-vehicle video.
Stage 1 landing burn.
We don't have that video just yet, but that landing burn has started.
Second stage has entered terminal guidance.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
It looks like we're not going to get video on the way down. Oh, but we have the drone ship. And wow. The Falcon has landed for the 4th time. Amazing. These boosters are designed to be used 10 times. Let's turn it around for a 5th, guys.
But so far we've had a on-time liftoff, completed the first reflight of a fairing, the first time that we've flown and landed a first stage booster, and we also did confirm nominal insertion or good orbit of the second stage. So coming up next is SES-2 in about 20 seconds from now, and this will be the shortest SES we've ever had, lasting just about 1 second. It's a short burn because the deployment orbit for these satellites isn't much different than our initial parking orbit, so we just need a quick burn to get us there. Waiting for that SES-2 and SECO-2. It's going to be very quick.
And back ignition.
And there it is. And second engine cutoff is complete. Waiting to hear for good orbit. Should hear that call out in a few seconds.
Nominal orbit insertion for satellite deploy.
And there is the confirmation of good orbit.
Back to the webcast for Starlink. We are getting very close to deployment of those 60 Starlink satellites. Now, after deployment, the satellites will appear to be kind of clumped together, but that's totally normal. As you can probably imagine, 60 separate separation systems is super inefficient. It adds mass, it adds complexity, and therefore it adds cost. Instead, we deploy them all at once, allowing them to slowly disperse from one another, and to do so without the use of complex mechanisms. They might even bump into one another, which, if that happens, is totally okay. The satellites were designed with this possibility in mind. All right, we lost the video just there, but let's listen in and see if we have any word on the deployment.
Starlink tension rod release confirmed.
And as you just heard, we have confirmation that the tension rods have been released. Let's see if we can get some video of that. That would be really awesome. There we go. Now, as they make their way off, next they'll start to slowly drift apart and then deploy their singular solar array pointed at the sun to begin charging their batteries. And over the course of the coming weeks, the satellites will use their onboard ion propulsion systems to raise their orbit to 550 kilometers, align into their orbital planes, and properly space themselves out to providing internet coverage on Earth. And with that, that brings us to the end of our webcast for today. So to recap, we had a successful 4th launch of a booster and a successful landing of that same booster. We reflew a fairing successfully for the first time. Both of those things are pretty cool, but also cool, you just saw we deployed 60 more Starlink satellites. This puts us one step closer to being able to offer Starlink internet service to customers across the globe, including people in rural and hard-to-reach places who have struggled for access to high-speed internet.